So I have an item here to present to you. It's really a discussion. We'll present our policies on mobility devices and mobility aids, and I think much of it will be discussion maybe on your experiences. We're really interested in learning whether you think our policies and procedures are reasonable, they're working in operation, and maybe any suggestions you might have for staff to consider as we address this issue. It has been an ongoing issue for quite a while, actually. There have been a number of instances where our department has received calls and emails regarding what is a mobility device, what is a mobility aid, how should operators be servicing those individuals with devices or aids, etc. So we have some information here, and I'll review it all with you as well, but it is up on the board.
Want to get a copy of it?
It's a little small.
I know,
Can't read
I'm
that.
enlarging that. So, but I'll also be reviewing it. We can provide copies of this, absolutely.
That'd be good.
So one of the major issues we've been faced with lately is the issue of carts and strollers and packages. So we have policy, and it talks about carts that do not fit through bus doors or block aisles. So, you know, I think that's kind of common sense in operation. We can't have any kind of item on our vehicles that are creating unsafe situations. So whether that be a cart with a basket, whether that be a child in a stroller, whether that be a person with a particular type of walker. We do have language that talks about bags. Bags cannot be too full. We can't have customers in wheelchairs with bags hanging off the back of their wheelchair if it's preventing them from safely riding in our buses, fitting into the securement area. If they choose securement, can our operator maneuver around the bags or whatever those other items are? One issue we've been dealing with occasionally is we'll have some customers in wheelchairs who are actually not riding in their wheelchair but are instead using their device to carry items. So they push the wheelchair up on our vehicle and they want the wheelchair to be secured, and then they take a seat somewhere else. Well, you know, we try to be very clear on mobility devices and aids being designed specifically to assist in someone's mobility, right? So that's why, for example, we have not classified carts or carts with a basket attached as a mobility device or a mobility aid, because it wasn't designed to provide mobility assistance. For example, we even have language in here that talks about grocery carts. You know, you could say a grocery cart provides the same function as a folding cart, for example, with a basket. It's designed to carry items, not be a mobility device to assist someone in their walking or maneuvering. Now, you know, I'm sure there are people out there who do use carts potentially to keep themselves balanced and to ride, but it isn't a defined mobility aid or mobility device. So we talk about the size of wheelchairs. So federal regulations do not, they no longer have specific guidelines with regards to size and weight. So we kind of just go by the adage, if it fits, it rides. So our lifts and ramps, they do have weight capacities. So of course our vehicles have to accommodate whatever an individual is trying to board, especially with a lift. You know, some wheelchairs with the occupant in it can be very, very heavy. The batteries, you know, extremely heavy. So that can be quite taxing on a lift. Now most of our fleet is now, there's a very small percentage that still have lifts, so it's now almost completely ramp, and ramps can accommodate much heavier weight, but there's still the issue of length and width of a wheelchair. So again, we direct operators to really focus on safety and to ensure that any devices that are boarding and are being placed in the securement area or anywhere else, that they're not creating an unsafe situation. Narrowing the aisles, for example, so people can't get through, things like that.
Jess, if I
Yes,
might
sir.
make a comment.
Sure.
I have seen people with wheelchairs that are really oversized. These are people that weigh in excess of 400 to 500 pounds. I mean, grossly or morbidly obese. And they try to get on and they cannot turn the wheelchair to get down the aisle because their wheelchair is just too big.
Sure.
Those persons need specialized transportation and cannot fit on the buses. Persons of that size really need special transportation, and because of their size, cannot really expect to be riding on regular transportation because it's not made for coat everyone. And it's just like we don't have elephants serving as service animals that are just a little bit large for that. And that's why Great Danes usually aren't used as service animals because they're a wee bit big. Same goes for the extra large wheelchairs. Can't be expected to get on every piece of transportation that's out there for the general public. Yes, Cheryl.
That fits into if it fits safely to ride.
Right.
That's covered by that. I'd like to make a comment about the cart issue,
Sure.
because I think that there can be different opinions than what you have expressed in terms of severely disabled people needing a cart to balance and be able to board safely. And if it's collapsible, then it should not be a problem on a bus.
Sure.
It's if it's not collapsible, then it would. So I don't think we should have a blanket restriction about carts.
And I think in operation, is Steve Rank still here? Are you
Nope.
still
No.
out? Okay, well, I think we apply that policy exactly the way you're
It
describing.
doesn't say.
And I think there are inconsistencies with how it's applied as well. I do know that there are operators that stick strictly to the language and they try to discourage the boarding of carts.
But that's why you need to fix the language so that
Well,
it does allow.
and-
The way you expressed it, carts are not.
Well, and I wanted to,
So-
and that was one of the reasons why we wanted to bring it to all of
Okay.
you, to
Okay.
have this discussion. Operations, maybe because we moved the item up, isn't present, but we wanted them to participate and share what we're seeing out there. We have heard of inconsistent application of this, not wrongly necessarily, but, and there's some language here that talks about what is prohibited in metro vehicles. So willfully blocking or impeding the free movement of another person. So that's,
Yeah.
in essence, I mean, that's a bit of a judgment, isn't it? One operator might feel like the presence of a particular type of cart or device is blocking and creating an unsafe situation, and another may not. So that's something that we try to address in our trainings. We do have an enhanced training that we've shared with all of you on several occasions, and probably early in the year, we'll come back with an item to represent that issue to you and talk about the progress we've made. And we've seen some progress in our mystery ride reports as well. So I think it's an ongoing discussion.
I think my concern is it should be in a list of blanket, non-allowable things.
Sure.
And as long as it isn't, and, this ability to judge based on circumstances, that's fine.
Yeah, and one of your operative words is willfully blocking. And I have been on buses where I've seen people who intentionally stick their feet out into the aisle in order, yes, in order to trip others who are boarding or to prevent them from sitting next to them. They also sort of verbally attack others who are on the bus.
Yes.
But, so it's not just devices, there are people who go out of their way to accommodate others who are getting on. And I've been talking with you about this for how many, 9 months now? But I seem to be ignored each time I try to offer insights and guidance on the things that are impacting people who are using these carts. And I find that really offensive, actually, because the way I've been experiencing the services from the bus drivers, except starting in July, there have been many instances where drivers have refused to allow me to ride the bus or made insulting remarks about me or my appearance or my cart, or all three, or telling me to board the bus on the back door, and it just happened to be the same day or within days of having had surgery, and I was instructed not to lift anything over 10 pounds. These carts do more than just allow for balance. They allow for mobility, because some, as I said back in August of last year, there are people with hidden or non-visible disabilities, and you don't know that that person has a heart condition. You don't know that that person has some sort of impairment that is impeding them from being able to walk more than half a block without assistance. And if they're trying to carry their belongings on their shoulder in a shoulder bag or in a rolling tote, they don't have anything that's going to hold them up so that they can get from point A to point B, which is 2 miles away. Catching my breath. And I've been getting very emotional recently, because there have been so many assaults to my being able to be a person with dignity and riding the buses and getting to places where I need to go. I've been late to classes that I've been trying to attend because I had to have a 3-minute debate with the driver about whether I could or could not get on the bus. That does not make sense. People who are trying to go on interviews, who have a disability and are being prevented from getting on the bus so that they can get there on time, and then they wind up losing their opportunity because they're late. That doesn't make a good impression on the employer. Oh, well, it was the bus who go earlier.
I have a question.
Yes,
How big is your car?
12 inches square, cube.
Because sometimes when the cars are oversized, it poses a problem.
This is the smallest size. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Yes,
Yes.
I was wondering if, when there is a matter of dispute between a driver and a passenger, if it would be possible to call out a supervisor at that time, to get a supervisor out to help settle it, not have it continue on between the operator and the passenger, but make it so that the supervisor makes the decision and might have a vehicle with which to transport the passenger if necessary.